Hi, my friends and family. My name's Trey Smith, and I'm back to let you know about sacred cities and D.E.W's HL, the only true safe place. I'm back to let you know that I can really shake 'em down. Now that I'm in the groove, I really know how to move. Do you love the self and all? Right now, y'all, that's the only way. Oh, can't you see what I'm telling you? Hell ain't the way to be. Gotta learn freedom somehow, it's true. But instead, we have to contend with the forced changes of the living dead, forced upon our head, just so we didn't need the most. Forced rulership by those who disrespect the Holy Ghost. Sacred cities, D.E.W's. Is it Hegelian logic? The only truly safe place. Howdy to the planet, to the plan ETs, trapped in Gaia citizens who are free of becoming, or becoming more so free. As I decided to fly back here, after the millions of dollars have come in to force all folks doing this California unsanctioned camping thing into government housing, motels or FEMA camps, worst case scenario. You know, the governor being a Libra, hoping he'd be a nice Libran and just invite me into the motel first. But supposedly, if the cities can just stop taking the money, or like they do in this city, like take the millions of dollars that they're given to help the homeless and just pay the rent on their building or whatever. So pay for their social workers to be able to pay their rent. So as I decided to supposedly, if the cities can stop just taking the money, now twice as much money is available for the state to clean up the state, and I am masochistically facing a probability of an attempted forcing into FEMA camp, like these planes coming around, if I don't, quickly move into a legal box like yesterday. Well, you see, we all know socialist governments are usually always equipped with a dictator. And Governor Newsom is claiming no more Mr. Nice Guy. Getting fully sick of the scapegoating, enmeshment, belittlement, and other over smothering CNPD family codependency and 3D only type love, seemingly to attempting to keep me sweetly infantilized permanently. I fell back into the old habit of what Sigmund Freud calls repetition compulsion. That's right, I came back to my old home place here. I flew back to my Santa Cruz, possibly eminent domain. If I had the right lawyer and the right mayor and the right city council. Brad's old camp here. So this sacred no man's land. Before I came back here, I spent the weekend with just my mom and brother, just us three, with the big baby codependency, and of course nothing much resembling, psychological awareness occurred between us. I tried to keep my mouth from saying too many things. As nice and sweet as it was when we actually spent a peaceful day of enmeshment at Folly Beach, You know, just the three of us there after all these years of all that's occurred. So, but my mother wanted to come down to her Charleston house also because her power was off for a week. The internal black hole of fear control, the false self, and strong insecurity and uncertainty, as well as depression, seemed to be gaining strength and normalcy within my psyche. You know, just I wasn't doing enough meditation, and it's really hard to deal with the internal onslaught and the second bardo I had to feel often. If I didn't know how to have proper boundaries, especially after my misadventure. So the internal black hole of fear control, the false self, and strong insecurity seemed to be gaining strength and normalcy within. So rejecting these regressions, I came back to this loving, smothering black hole of narcissism in the form of a beautiful town and county, Santa Cruz, where my awakening began to see the depths of heaven and roots of hell, you know, for the 20 years that I spent around this place. So for all of the last week, I was clinging to self-important survival and, you know, the normal, slithering into the normal snake hole of being a humanoid caught in codependent survival and worried about escaping the horror show frequencies of CNPD that I was in strong denial about what was happening. I even got a bicycle that didn't function, and I had to get another one, but finally got one that I like. All right, so Hurricane Helene had been obviously grown and steered to become one of the worst hurricane disasters ever. The power was out in 5 states, and it was apparently directed to Asheville. And you know, if I was really being honest with myself, I would probably have to cry and do something to help them more than make this video. But if you have any friends in Asheville, you know, make sure if you deliver stuff to them that it's done properly, right? So it seems that this hurricane was steered to take out Asheville. Asheville is one of the most beautiful, wonderful cities I have ever stayed in. I spent 5 summers there in my early 20s. In the summertime, they'd have a drum circle every Friday night on the other side of town on the courthouse green lawns. You'd have something called Picking on the Green. It was, I don't know if it's still there, it was 20 years ago, where they had various circles of bluegrass and country musicians of various technical skill levels. Sometimes the jams would be better than, they had a stage there too, dancing on the stage. It was all free, and then in those days Bell Share was free. So I helped out at the end to load the flatbed trucks at the end of the Lexington Avenue Arts Festival there one year, and I used to get free showers in the community center on the way from my camp to downtown, and I didn't have to sign anything. The people were very nice, and I used to hang out at the French Broad Food Co-op, you know, and get most of my food there, and other health food stores like Earth Fare, and kind of the Santa Cruz of the Southeast. Probably the lesbian homosexual capital of the Southeast, the organic farming capital of the Southeast, a meditation conscious community and alternative lifestyle. Excluding whatever's in Florida, lifestyle community rich zone, a hippie haven full of kind and loving, heart-centered, awakening respectful souls. Now, I might be exaggerating, or that was my experience in going there. Or at least a lot more of them per capita than anywhere else in that region of the USA. I always thought as my astrocartographical moon line ran through there, my Pisces moon, that Asheville might be one of the only safe zones to build a house, a home, or move into a community and raise food, have a family, the ideal, one of the safest places to raise good, respectful children. Then the weather masters steered a huge flood to destroy it. I mean, really, folks, out of all places, I mean, I was going through my own personal trauma bonding bullshit, psychological self-imposed horrors, or whatever you want to call it, or healing those things in a beautiful place that I didn't even think to give thanks. You know, I assume that city is on the list, you know, like I say, but well, it's obvious. There's obvious signs. But one thing I want to say in this video is that maybe the citizens of North Carolina will do what they did in Tennessee and New Hampshire and encourage the federal government to outlaw engineering. Okay? So Geoengineeringwatch.org and on their YouTube page. If you want a quick version, they just posted in Dane Wigington, he just posted a 90-second little pictorial about the whole thing and how it was steered, and with electromagnetics. And I'm reading this book called Cross Currents by Robert O. Becker, and it's a whole nother story, but he did the research that proved all this stuff was possible as well. So Geoengineeringwatch.org and their YouTube have both the weather weaponry patents displayed, as well as how Hurricane Helene was steered to western North Carolina and northern South Carolina. With electromagnetic space fence gadgetry. And in short, there are volumes of evidence that this was a direct energy weapon being used under the ancient direction of the sycophants, you know, like 4 years ago, the Hegelian logic problem, forced solution. Okay, dear Asheville has been destroyed with this hurricane. Okay, and hundreds are deceased, hundreds were killed, and perhaps thousands have lost their homes, floated down the muddy river to death. I mean, I finally had the courage to watch some of the videos here on YouTube, and it's frightening, you know, to see the level of atrocity that this was. How you know, floated thousands perhaps have floated down their houses have floated down muddy rivers to death, or their houses were destroyed, bankruptcy, the loss of their business, and like the D.E.Ws destroyed Lahaina 13 and a half moons ago. The solution forced by the ancient world hoarders was to give those who lost everything a $75 check and force them, you know, like every person who lost their house in this nasty, you know, steered hurricane, and when they destroyed Asheville, well, they offered them all, just like in Lahaina. Isn't that sick? They offered them a $75 check. And then they have... and force them, some of them, into FEMA camps or official holding places like churches or even hotels, motels if they're lucky. So why do narcissists make you feel so lonely? Because there's nobody there you can trust. Because there's no one. The more, if they actually have narcissistic personality disorder, or if they're actually high on the scale of NPD, there's no one there you can trust in their personality. The false self has taken over. There's no one in there you can trust. Is the Federal Emergency Management Agency the epitome of a Hegelian logic-controlled demolition plan, population control, hero inverted government collective narcissist group. Like, they're coming to rescue you, but they demand they have to do it. They have to control all the food supply. They have to take control of everything. Just as the police blocked the roads last year in Lahaina, you know, I mean, how more overt can you be? When the governor of that town, the mayor of that town just kind of like was open to the plans, just obedient to the plan, just as that Hawaiian sacred capital was lasered down and forced to sacrifice over 2,000 children in the greatest ritualized child harvest ever. All the useless eaters and wild people, those who live too close to the river, in Swannanoa and Asheville in this case, and the poor RV dwellers who live down there, were sacrificed to the muddy waters, by the junior gods, the dark, the powerful gods, the powerful beings that say that there are gods. Maybe I'm safer in my old camp here, as the CZU fires were already attempted to utilize to burn down, they burned down the entire town of Last Chance, and then I got lucky. Right as they evacuated me from here, they built a fire road to protect me. So it was the first place was Paradise, California. The second, a known inexpensive, hippie retirement community, okay, with inexpensive housing. Then it was Last Chance in 2020, just lasered to the ground, gone. Okay, Lahaina in 2023, and now, through this certain steering of the path of this hurricane, that, like, again, if you go to Geoengineering Watch YouTube page, they have a 90-second video of it. So now it's Dear Asheville. Now why were these sacred, in my opinion, because I really, honestly, tragically, as a triple Sagittarius, I never have done much traveling, but I consider this place a sacred town, as cursed as it is as well. So, if the individual is going to attract in those energies, so it's why were these sacred? In other words, why were these sacred vortexes of awareness destroyed with directed energy weapons? The dark side, because the dark side don't want loving, respectful, really sustainable cities into things like permaculture. And Asheville had an edible food forest. I mean, I got a tear or two in my eye watching some of these videos of mudslides and rivers destroying it all. Because I love Asheville, so send your money to, figure out a way to securely send it to people if you know them there. And aside from the population reduction plans on the blown up Georgia Guidestones, well, my opinion is that the white hats, someone in the good side of the so-called secret forces of light and dark, they blew up that guidestone that said keep the population down to 350 million or whatever. Like, it is threatening to the false self powers that were for entire cities to embody the one love. Okay, like Asheville, Last Chance, maybe, or when we want them all to be matrix anti-life, 15-minute smart cities. Yes, just like we heard 20 years ago around Hurricane Katrina, FEMA has been acting like, has been acting the big boys led nasty narcissistic predator hero collective they've been known to be, demanding that all the food donations to people who lost their houses and all their stuff and their cars, all the food donations would have to be given to them directly to FEMA only and distributed by them only. There are stories of confiscation and denial, forcing of Mr. Big's ways. In other words, You know, you have to go by with the rule, these arbitrary rules they make up, or death, you know. Fighting self-appointed heroes with their own helicopters attempting to rescue people, just as some were not allowed, if obedient, during the CZU fires over the hill here. They were not allowed to save their own houses from fires here. Just as often, the only ways people could get food in Lahaina was from loving, concerned citizens, you know, individuals or groups on their own that took it upon their own responsibility to helicopter them over food. Surely the lion's share of the rescue work is being done far more efficiently by loving, concerned individuals and groups who do not have a hierarchy and chain of command to obey. These so-called disasters have shown many thousands of even good-hearted normies what a Hegelian dialectic, what an insane attempted winner-take-all game that the dark angels are imposing. The fallen angel, self-imposed gods are imposing Agenda 2030 actually is how unafraid to kill and destroy, burn down, and take over our regions and our governments, officiales and their overlords are. That's right. They've had to learn the hard way how unafraid the dark angels are to just come in and destroy and take it all if they possibly can, and in every conceivable way. Why are hero narcissist collectives seemingly more pure evil when they're in the government? Who directs their plans? Why trust the government to save you when they have patents on weather weapons and the organized solutions like FEMA camps and $70 checks, $700 checks? Why trust a violent, psychopathic, narcissist collection of junior gods in the first place and their official spokespersons when we've seen what FEMA does, how we are going to be coerced into a national Auschwitz or some kind of weird control that they exert over it out of coercion and fear at the points of many guns? Or wake up to the truth of the necessity of sovereignty. Finally, yes, it is helpful to receive disability money if you have a deadly illness, but abuse of any sort is not helping. Population control and the steering of storms or using lasers to create fires is inherently violent and wrong. What to do about this? After the CZU fires, Santa Cruz Mountain citizens started Facebook fire watch groups so they could potentially save all of the houses in a fire. Not just the ones the officials choose to save. Perhaps Hawaiians can take legal actions on these crimes when they try to turn their sacred capital, Lahaina, into a 15-minute city or whatever. So, though the criminals have done a great job taking over, a lot of the Maui government, probably, obviously, so how would it be possible? The same cognitive dissonance is stirring in those being rudely awakened by the steering committee, if you will, this year in Carolina. Yeah. Like all the people who lost their houses, who didn't want to believe the things that guys like me said. They got rudely awakened by the steering committee. Because they couldn't take the truth seriously until it was too late, man. But then, like I say, that was one of the points of this whole video is if Asheville can be destroyed like that, then no place is safe on the surface of this earth. I mean, one thing I didn't put in my notes, maybe if you learn how to get into inner earth, And so, perhaps North Carolina citizens can push for a national criminalization of geoengineering, following as the state of Tennessee recently has, and as well as New Hampshire before them. And so, if Asheville is not safe, where is a safe place? Where is there a safe place on the surface of this earth if not Asheville? The answer is simple, yet complex to maintain. It seems in the face of danger or tyranny or this level of warfare, the only safe space is within the eternal awareness of Christ Sophia. No matter how much the dark side takes, co-ops, contracts, starves, burns, or floods your matter, no matter how sick you get, no matter how many times you have to die physically, you must always remember you are not this flesh suit. It is a temporary object or tool. The evil ones want to use it for slavery or loosh permanently, yet by remaining within the heart of Christ Sophia, by somehow, ideally, staying in a mental and emotional and ultimately spiritually pure state of Christ awareness, no matter what happens to the matter. Your soul can stay secure within the higher frequencies of the love, the freedom, the discernment, the meditation of the oneness, the harmlessness, and the choice of peace inherent within the Christ. If you reside on this property they call California, for example, and you don't want to go into a FEMA camp or forced slavery, you could become a master meditator and tune into the forces and become so telepathic that you will always remain safe. You see, because within the peace of the divine awareness of Christ Sophia within your awakened heart, you will be in safety and security at all times, no matter what happens to your physical flesh suit. In the choice of peace inherent within the Christ. The Christ bodies, towns, gifts, blessings, curses, and wars come and go. Yet her eternal love remains. If nirvana exists, you have forever to get there. Yet only by staying in pure awareness will you ever even consider dying or not reincarnating into this psychological hell realm, or to come back and help as a so-called bodhisattva, if these concepts even really exist. Okay? It is still true that until you are ready to be gone forever, or so-called nirvana, until you're ready to let go of your ego, your separateness forever somehow, you can stay in peace even throughout all the lifetimes of the future, so to speak. You can stay in peace and within the only safe place, the true Spirit of Christ. Even if you are in a war, like David Standoff Rolfe, for example, or a prison camp, or jail, like Nelson Mandela, with so much danger on the surface of the planet, there is always one secure position and safe place left, keeping your awareness in the heart of Christ Sophia, the One. Now, I don't know if it's true what they say, the last thought you have when you die is going to, of course, that's going to influence it greatly, but definitely adding up all of your vibrations, all of your thoughts. The Akashic Records contains every single thought and deed and thing you've ever done. And so, as they say, there is no final judgment. It all floods back into your mind one last time before the archons and Lucifer question you in the moon and first pretend to be your ancestors and welcome you with all overwhelming love and goodness and kindness, the love bombing phase. And then they come with the guilt and the force, try to force you to reincarnate. So if you enjoyed this, you haven't already, make sure you click subscribe, hit the notification bell for more, and I'll start doing alerts at some point. And and if you have the courage, my family, follow me on Rumble or Odyssey for a deeper, darker red pill to hear more about the mind control and what you can do to overcome it. And if you have the strength within, even in these days of our sacred cities being hit with these D.E.Ws, you can still remain in the only truly safe place, the heart of Christ Sophia in your heart, if you only continually meditate on her and remember. Give thanks, my family.